We still have more bathroom noises going on here. So
I love doing this in the bathroom.
Hopefully you can hear
This is
us.
so amazing.
So, Laura, what are some options for treatment?
Okay, so there's lots, and it's really person dependent. Okay, there's not one perfect option. I am not a believer in one type of healthcare fixes everyone's problem. There are people who subscribe to that. You'll see physical therapists who are like, no one needs to go see anything else other than a physical therapist, and I don't subscribe to that. Okay. And really it's dependent. So let's take the two things that people are usually coming to see me for, which are incontinence or pelvic pain, which is like low back pain, hip pain, pain with intercourse, that sort of thing.
Okay.
So if you have incontinence, most people are going to go see their OBGYN first or their urogyn or something, who may recommend physical therapy. They may give you a steroid cream. They may tell you to do Kegels and suck it up. They may tell you that this is your new normal. I've heard all these are. I'm not
and you've
making
already
these
told
up.
us it doesn't have to be the new
it
normal.
doesn't. Right. What I'm saying is, if you go see an OB and they tell you that, don't settle for that. Yes, doctors are doctors and we love them, but every doctor has its own field. Like, you wouldn't go to a cardiologist and take their advice necessarily for your pelvic floor health, right? Because that's not necessarily their field of expertise. OBs have their own amazing expertise that I could never do, but they are not movement experts. That's not what they do. That's why they chose to be OBs. So that's an option. Going to see a chiropractor. I've also heard of a few who will deal with incontinence. It's few and far between, but it is an option. You can see a personal trainer who will deal with the external strengthening, that sort of thing. I've heard.
So I can help with that part, but not what she does.
Right. So that's definitely an option. I've heard of women going to see doulas who may have some advice. If you have incontinence, best case scenario is you are being followed by an OB to make sure that there's not a medical reason that you're having incontinence. You're working with a pelvic floor physical therapist who is creating a tailored program for you to not only fix your incontinence, but to make sure it stays away, working on behavior patterns. Maybe your brain is going to the bathroom every time your bladder's half full, and you need to work on that. So we'll do a bladder diary or something. Working with a trainer of whatever kind, whether it's an online program, an in-person program, because you want something tailored and custom made, whether you have accountability or you don't, group classes or whatever, you're going to want to stay physically healthy and in shape. And yes, it does play a huge role in incontinence. The other side is going to be pain-based, in which case, I guess ideally you have all the same options as what we just discussed. You might also see an acupuncturist, struggle word, massage therapist, that sort of thing if you're having pain. Ideally, again, you're being followed by your OB to make sure that there's not an infection. There's not neural damage, which a PT can also assess that too, but we're not going to deal with infections. We're not going to talk about that. We're going to refer you to a medical practitioner. For pain, you need to see a pelvic floor PT, because your pain might not be trauma-based. So it might be trauma-based, but it can also be, I'll just say, I used to have pelvic pain. The reason I've never had a baby, I never had a trauma, never had abdominal surgery, right? No, I've never had abdominal surgery. So my pain was strictly because the muscles of my pelvic floor were so tight that they were creating so much tension that it was giving me problems. So I had to work with myself and make myself relax. So, and then once you're relaxed and you can move the way you need to, same things. You need to be maintaining, you need to be exercising. You can go see a massage therapist if you want, or an acupuncturist or a chiropractor. Those are all really good options as well.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So last question is, we say that you go to a physical therapist, but not all physical therapists are the same.
Right.
How do I make sure that I've got someone that not only specializes in incontinence, but that they're good at it?
Yes. Okay. So thankfully, not a lot of PTs will undertake pelvic floor health if they're not qualified. First of all, I know in Louisiana, this is where I used to work. I think Tennessee's the same. You cannot do internal examinations if you're not qualified to do those.
Okay.
So coming out of school, any physical therapist technically can help you with your pelvic floor health. They know some things, they can help you, but they are not going to be able to do internal assessments. That's just not how it works.
Yeah.
And no one's going to try and do that unless, you know, eventually they'll get arrested or something. Yeah. But so you want to ask what their education is. Have they had training on how to deal with pelvic health? Even in the pelvic health world, we have different types of education and different types of specialties. So I do not work with men usually. That's not my specialty. I will, but I feel like there's people out there who do this all the time and are better than I am at treating men. Children are the same way. I don't usually work with children. And we all have our own preferences. So I love working with dyspareunia, which is pain with penetration, and incontinence. Those are my favorite things to work with. There are some women who are pelvic floor PTs who love working through the pregnancy period. You know, you just have our postmenopausal. There's just all these different specialties. However, most pelvic floor therapists can kind of treat all of the things.
Okay.
So you're going to want to make sure they're credentialed to do it. Really, the most important thing is if they're credentialed, you have to feel comfortable. So we all have different personalities, just like you do. So I am a little bit more of a, I don't know, abrasive personality. I'm detail oriented. You know, I like to make sure things are done right and organized, and I like to handhold, you know, make sure you're doing everything correctly. I have a friend who does this in Mount Juliet, and she's a much sweeter temperament than I am. So I tell patients, if you do not feel comfortable with me, you are not going to get better. You're not going to feel comfortable enough during an internal exam. Your body's not going to respond well to what I'm having you do. You need to trust me. You need to feel like you can share things with me. We're going to talk about really intimate things. So if you don't want to talk to me about your sex life, find somebody you do feel comfortable talking about that with. So that's probably the biggest thing.
Okay.
Shop around, just like any of your other healthcare professional team. We are a team. We are on your team.
Excellent.
You don't want us on your team, kick us off. You know, you have the opportunity to create your own baseball team here. So pick the good ones.
All right. So picking the baseball team, how do people find you? And I will be sure to put this in the information on below. So
absolutely. Well, my company is called Plus One Physical Therapy.
And I'll put that link.
All spelled out. Plus One Physical Therapy is my personal brand. So plusonept.net is a great website. It's got some good resources on there. If you're not sure that you want to commit to working with somebody, there's a free resource on there for you. I'm huge on social media. I think it's important to create community in women's health because we feel so alone. So Instagram, Plus One Physical Therapy, and Facebook, Plus One Physical Therapy. I try and stay really involved and connected with my followers on there. But if you are a female and you want to get involved in something really cool, you need to join the Facebook group ViREO and Vaginas. So we actually had Sheri on 2 weeks ago, a week and a half ago, to talk about creating good habits. And it is such a fun group. It's a private group, it's women only, and we talk about all things pelvic health while we drink wine and do Facebook videos, or beverage of choice.
Yeah, I drink tea.
There you go. Hot chocolate, anything comforting that makes you feel safe and willing to talk about things that are uncomfortable. So that's a great way to connect with me as well. And of course, I have the normal email and phone number.
And you don't have to live in this area where we live to work with Laura, because you also work remote.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. So I am not only just a mobile therapist where I go to people's homes and I treat in their work environment or their gym, but there are people who either they're way out of my driving range or they don't live in this state or something that I'll work with telehealth. So we will, do a video call like this, or we'll do phone calls, or I can even help you find somebody. If you want someone hands-on in your area, I will help you find somebody, hopefully, that lives within driving range of you.
Fantastic. Laura, thank you so much. Yes, and if you all have questions, comments, put those below, and we will make sure that she gets those. Check her out on Facebook and her website. And until next time, you all, find your path and fulfill your potential.